One.
Hello everyone, my name is Teniqua Williams and welcome to my presentation on the needs of children coming from broken homes. Let's start on slide 2 with an overview. The overview consists of a questionnaire from the Williams girls, what causes broken homes, what are the outcomes of broken homes, solutions, next steps, and the conclusion. Did you know that each year more than a million American homes are broken by death, desertion, separation, and divorce? The story of these broken homes is often tragic for important intimate human relationships and has shattered millions of Americans and deprived them of a normal, happy life. If we want to help others make their marriages succeed, we must first find out why so many marriages are failing and why homes are being broken and what we can do about it. And this comes from a citation from Thorman, 1947. Let's start with an overview and scenario from the Williams girls on slide 3. Okay, ladies, let's do a poll here. Just to get a little bit more insight about what it's like to come from a broken home. First, we have Davia, Tania, Tabria, Demia, and their dad, David. Okay, so out of all of you guys in the room, how many of you know some kids at your school that come from broken homes? Oh, so everybody knows someone who comes from broken homes. You know, ever talk to them and see how that affects them? Are they sad? Are they angry? You know, how does that make them feel to not have both parents in the home?
Sad.
Sad? What about you, Davey? Are your friends sad about it as well?
Well, some people think like they have two ways about it. Some people feel happy because they get to see them both, like, and they're still their parents, and then like they get double gifts, and then the other people like, okay, I wish I had been same home.
Oh, okay. What about you, Tania?
Sometimes my friends are sad, and when people talk to them, they feel better at times.
Okay, and you, Tabria? Anybody you know?
I think it's when I talk to them, it seems that they're not alone and they can always depend on other people.
Okay, and Demia, you said that they feel sad, the people you know?
Yes.
Okay.
I did.
And so, David, let's talk about you as a child. I know you come from a broken home. How did that make you feel?
So if I'm honest, it took me a long time to actually understand how it made me feel. I was actually an adult when I really finally understood, and I felt kind of slighted. I felt cheated out of learning from my other parents' experiences in life.
Okay. So, did it teach you anything? You know, do you act differently now as a parent because of that?
Well, what it taught me was not to ever take for granted being a dad. And in some ways, it makes me overdo things when it comes to my kids. Not overparent, but I don't hover, but I'm always there.
I see.
So I think that was, one of the things that I learned from the experience of not having both parents in my house.
Okay, got it. So let's talk about the causes of broken homes on slide 4. Some of the causes that we noted were that people don't properly communicate, they don't put God first, they have financial stress, just habits, and sometimes they just get too busy. So talking about financial stress, Chatham Institute mentions it is often said that the root cause of most divorces is money. Countless surveys and studies have shown that when people who are divorcing or facing marital trouble are asked what problem in their relationship is money, more than often than anything else. Another thing mentioned as a cause would be habits. Doherty 2013 says that we get too used to our mate. In marriages, familiarity breeds contempt, but taking each other for granted. Our relationships lose some degree of newness and freshness over time, and if we don't work to put these ingredients back together, psychologists call it habitation, a universal threat to intimate relationships. What about you, David? Do you feel like we have sometimes get into a habit or a rut when we're doing our marriage or over the past, 11 years?
Yeah, I think just like, our relationship with God, we have to align ourselves with God and with His will for us. I think in marriages, over the course of time, we forget to align ourselves with each other by knowing how to communicate. We forget how to communicate with each other. And I think that we forget to ask significant questions about what each other wants, what our goals are within the next 5 days, 5 weeks, 5 months, 5 years.
And would you say that's a cause of being too busy? Because Doherty 2013 states, in another article, they mentioned that we just get too busy for our marriages. Between work, raising kids, managing daily life, many of us don't have enough time to make our marriage relationship a high priority in our daily lives. So I think it goes back to what you're saying. We fail to ask those questions because we don't communicate as often because we get so busy. And I know you and I with 4 kids, that's part of the problem. We get busy with and wrapped up with these 4 kids that we may not take the time out in our marriage to push forward as we need to. So let's stop and think about the outcomes. If we get too busy, we don't communicate. Some of the outcomes of that could be leading to frustration, stress, deception, and divorce. Now, we all know that, the outcomes of divorce, we just talked about it, and Busheshno 1999 mentions that when divorce happens, is that it does not only affect the children, but it affects adults as well. Children are as likely to be pushed into poverty by the breakup of their parents' marriage, and as their parents are suffering the job loss or wage cut. Not only do they suffer financially, but the emotional stress can be detrimental and often hard to recover from. So I think if we stop and think about that as well, divorce is like the worst thing that a child could actually go through when coming from a broken home, because sometimes that can make them feel like it's their problem, and it's something that they have to deal with as well. Just let me ask you girls, if we were to, mom and dad were to split up or get a divorce, how would that make you feel?
It would make me sad. It would make me feel sad because I need my parents to help me do everything. It would make me feel sad. It would make me feel sad.
Make everybody feel sad? Okay, well, let's talk about some notable solutions, since you guys, we don't want you to be sad about mom and dad getting divorced. On slide 5, we have solutions, and the first thing is to keep God first. Genesis 2:22-5 says, "And the rib that the Lord had taken from man, he made into woman and brought her to the man. The man said, This is the last of my bone and flesh of my flesh. She shall be called woman, because she was taken out of man. Therefore a man shall leave his father and his mother and hold fast to his wife, and they shall become one flesh. And the man of his wife, and both were naked and not ashamed." And let's talk about keeping the lines of communication open as well. Muehlhoff mentions that marriage forecasting is about adopting different courses of action. It's about setting out intentionally to alter the communication climate of your marriage. Remember that every communication climate is made up of 4 elements. These 4 elements are acknowledgement, expectations, commitment, and trust. The key to improving marriage is not just being aware of these factors, but learning how to strengthen them as well. Another thing that we can do in order to have a good solution is to be honest. Chatham mentions that I give you the recipe for a truly successful marriage. Right here, right now, is 100% total honesty. If you make the mistake of any kind, you should simply admit that to your partner and realize it. What about you, David? You think being honest is important?
I think I think that being honest with your best friend in the world is vital.
Right. And another thing we can do is pray as well. So not only that, be honest, pray, and remember the good times. Slide 6 tells us that we continue to pray, we can take back our marriage and not give up. If we read our Bible and understand the guidance on how to proceed with our marriage, we can take it back for the long term. Not giving up, because knowing how important your family and kids are is worth the battle. Which brings us to slide 7, the conclusion. Conclusion is there is a light at the end of the tunnel. A note from Fine Frog tells us that in the dark times there is always light at the end of the tunnel. Sometimes it's our way out and sometimes it's a train, but whatever, it's better to face it with someone you trust, someone you know who's committed to you, and when you have those problems that are bigger than what you can handle, we have someone that we can lean on. It's made a difference to many times over the years in our marriage. For David and I, our faith in Christ has played a major role in our marriage. And at the end of the day, we know we can trust ourselves and we know we can trust God. As 1 Corinthians 13:4-7 tells us, love is patient, love is kind. Love does not envy, love does not boast. It is not arrogant, it is not rude. It does not insist on its own way, it is not terrible or resentful. It does not rejoice in the wrongdoing, but rejoices with truth. Love bearing all things, believes all things, hopes all things, and endures all things. This concludes my presentation on the needs from broken homes. I hope you found the information informative, and thank you all for listening. Have a blessed week.